Hello everyone and welcome back to Casa Cloud. Since last few videos, we have started creation of a Node.js microservice. Then we created a Docker image of that microservice. And in the last video, we have created a Azure Container Registry and pushed that Docker image that we have created for that Node.js microservice to this Azure Container Registry. Today, what we'll do is we'll be connecting this Azure Container Registry to Azure Kubernetes Service. For that, the prerequisites are we should have a AKS and a container registry already present. In my previous video, Azure Container Registry, your Docker image here, we have created the container registry already. And there is another playlist which is Ansible Azure, which help us create the AKS as well. And to follow today's commands, you can pull this particular repository Azure. How would you pull it? You need to go to code, HTTPS, copy, go to your favorite IDE and do git clone and paste it. And you'll get all the source code and the readme files in your local. Okay, and we are following this readme file here inside the Azure Container Registry. Let's go here. So this is creation of a resource group, creation of ACR, and then creating the image and pushing the image. This is already done in the previous video. Today we are interested in the Azure Container Registry attached to AKS. So by default, if we have a new AKS and a new Azure Container Registry, these are not connected by default, and no RBAC is also set. We need to do all those things. So how do we validate that currently the ACR is not attached to the AKS? So this is a command which is AKS check ACR. We need to provide the name of the AKS, resource group, and the ACR. Let's go to the IDE, clear, paste, enter. What it is doing, it is trying to check whether AKS already have the access to pull the images from the ACR or not. And here you can see validation failed. Validating image pull permission is failed. So we cannot currently pull any image from this ACR to the AKS. Let's see what we need to do to enable this part. Okay. We need to get the ACR ID first. To get the ACR ID, we need to use this particular command which is trying to pull ACR show. It will show the complete details. From that, I'm only interested in the ID parameter and I'm converting it in TSV. Let's see and let's echo that. Okay, I've echoed and I have the ACR ID here, which is a big string of ID. So next we need to pull the client ID of the managed identity, which is attached to all the worker nodes. Let's explore this inside the AKS. If you go here, this is the AKS which is created. If we see things in JSON, here, if we scroll complete down, we'll see two different of identities. One is the identity, which is a system assigned identity. And if you scroll a bit more, here you'll see the identity profile kubelet identity. We are interested inside this kubelet identity. All the worker nodes will have this particular identity and all the control plane nodes will have this particular identity. And pulling a image is a responsibility of the worker node. If we give RBAC access to this particular identity, which is eventually attached to the Kubernetes worker node, hence the worker node will be allowed to pull the images from the ACR. Hence, we are interested in this particular kubelet identity. And what we are trying to pull is this client ID. If you see here, this particular client ID we are trying to. Hence, my command is AKS show resource group, name AKS, query is identity profile, kubelet identity dot client ID. Identity profile, kubelet identity dot client ID. Okay, so this is something I'm trying to copy and paste. Okay, so end with F052 and if I go here F052. Okay, perfect. I have the right ID, client ID of the managed identity which is responsible to pull the images in the worker node. So this we understood. If you want to explore more about this particular identity, when a AKS is created, then it creates its own resource group where the AKS and its different components are created. And this is the identity that we were talking about, which is agent pool identity, which is attached to the worker nodes. Okay, so let's go back. Now what we need to do is we need to assign the ACR pool role to the AKS managed identity. What is this ACR pool role? We discussed about this in the previous video, that there are different RBAC roles that are offered by Azure, which will be responsible to provide access to an entity to either pull the image, pull and delete the image, and there are different other roles as well. How should I understand what are the offered roles? We need to go to the resource group where the ACR is created. Let's get inside the ACR, IAM, and here if I go to roles and here just ACR, and here you see the ACR delete, ACR pull, ACR push. These are the roles offered. The worker node will never delete a particular image, will never push a particular image, it will just pull a particular image. Okay, if we just view here JSON, it can only pull, or this is a read access. So what we are trying to give is a read access to the worker node to pull the images from this ACR. Okay, how do we do this? AZ role assignment create. Assignee is the client ID of the worker node managed identity, and the role is ACR pull, and the scope is the ACR ID. That is, the scope is the Azure Container Registry. So if we copy this particular command, go back here, because we have both the variables already attached. Let's see. Okay, now the access is given, the RBAC is given. Now I expect that Kubernetes should be able to pull the images from the ACR. How do we validate? So we started this using the validation command, check ACR, and giving the cluster name, resource group, and this. Let's convert that to the example, and this should work, and press enter. Now if you see, now we should expect that it allows to pull the image. Okay, now we can see that the validating image pull permission is succeeded. So by this process we can confirm that now AKS and ACR are attached, and if we push any of the image to the ACR, AKS worker node will be able to pull those images and start a container or a pod inside the AKS from that particular image. Okay, so in the next video we'll try to automate the same processes that we did just now manually using the Ansible commands, and we have the automation playbook already present, so we'll continue there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you later.